The fourth edition of the UEFA Nations League has now completed its league phase. It's a competition launched back in 2018 to reduce the number of international friendlies and most importantly provide all sides across Europe with more competitive fixtures against teams of similar stature and ability. The latest edition runs from 2024 and into 2025. The league phase has taken up the September, October and November international breaks, resulting in a tally of 14 group tables across 4 leagues. Rankings within those tables have granted teams either promotion up to a higher league, relegation to a lower league, a potential playoff with a team from either the league above or the league below, or a spot in the League A quarter-finals. Focusing on just your own country to the Nations League can make it feel largely dull. The true joy of this competition comes from observing it as a whole. This is about much more than just watching the elite names of League A. There is a load of drama and excitement to come with all 4 leagues, groups that can stay competitive and tight right up to the end, with potentially historic results secured for certain UEFA members. The 14 groups of the 2024-25 UEFA Nations League have featured 4 groups of 4 in each of League A, League B and League C, with 2 groups of 3 teams in League D. I have followed all 14 groups closely over the last 3 international breaks, taking in all of the action and latter stage permutations. Observing them all, it's clear that some have provided more general excitement and unpredictability, whilst others have been a general procession towards the logical final ranking. That creates the purpose for this video, to remind you of where the best action was during the back end of 2024 in Europe. I've gone through all the groups and compiled them into a list, starting with the most straightforward and ending with the ones that were still completely up in the air by the time matchday 6 rolled around. Going from 14 up to 1, this is my ranking of the UEFA Nations League groups. 14th, Group A3. Group A3 was a group fully decided with a game to spare. Nothing but dead rubbers on matchday 6. Its final ranking, Germany, Netherlands, Hungary, Bosnia and Herzegovina, is one plenty could have predicted before it all began as well. Group winners Germany went unbeaten, collecting 14 points out of a possible 18. Whilst their 2 games with their Dutch rivals were understandably close, their pursuit of a spot in the quarter-finals never really looked in doubt. Highlights included a 5-0 win at home to Hungary on matchday 1 and a 7-0 home demolition of Bosnia and Herzegovina on matchday 5. There was a bit of intrigue with this group at the halfway stage though, as October results left Hungary right behind the Netherlands in the pursuit of a surprise top 2 spot. A 4-0 win to the Dutch in Amsterdam on matchday 5 though put an end to that race. Bosnia meanwhile were relegated with just 2 points, finishing well behind 3rd place Hungary. Their drop was confirmed on matchday 5 after a 7-0 mauling away in Germany, a result that has now become their record defeat as an independent nation. 13th, Group D2. Just 2 of the 14 groups in this Nations League were fully decided with 1 game left to go. Group A3 was the first and Group D2 was the other. This League D group generally went under the radar, especially given the neutral media attention the Group D1 received instead. It soon became clear that it was going to be a battle between Moldova and Malta for the automatic promotion spot, with Andorra languishing behind as the major minnow. At the end of the October break, things were quite nicely poised. Moldova and Malta sat level on 6 out of 9 points, having beaten each other in their respective home games. Moldova had a slim advantage on head-to-head by winning their clash 2-0 in Chisinau, whilst Malta could only record a 1-0 win in the Mediterranean. That meant a matchday 5 win for Moldova in Andorra La Vella would secure the group win, and it finally came thanks to a quality goal from Virgiliu Postolaki in stoppage time, his first goal for his country. Moldova up as group winners, Malta second. Bottom side Andorra finished with a single point but without any goals, missing a favourable opportunity on matchday 6 to take advantage of a Malta side who had 10 men for well over 70 minutes. 12th, Group C2. Group C2 was one of just 2 groups that didn't feature any draws, and the only one which ended with the aesthetically pleasing 18-12-6-0 layout. Romania up as winners, Kosovo second, Cyprus third, Lithuania fourth, little to call unpredictable. It felt like a group of 2 separate battles before we got underway. Could Kosovo contest with Romania as the top spot? Who out of Cyprus and Lithuania would be put under threat of relegation? The overall gap between these 2 groups told, as Romania and Kosovo made particularly light work of their home games against the bottom 2 sides, and both picked up maximum points from these fixtures. The big talking point came when the top 2 went head-to-head. Romania came straight out of the blocks with a dominant 3-0 win in Pristina on matchday 1, leaving them with a 3-point advantage over the Balkan side all the way through to matchday 5 when they were set to rematch in Bucharest. It was a game Kosovo needed to win by 3 or more goals to keep top spot hopes alive, and never really looked like doing that. It was during stoppage time though, with the match closing in on a 0-0 draw, with reports of the Romanian crowd beginning to shout pro-Serbian and anti-Kosovan chants. In protest, the Kosovan players left the pitch and refused to return, with the match having to be deemed abandoned so close to full time. It was 5 days later, after Romania and Kosovo had beaten Cyprus and Lithuania respectively, that UEFA deemed the match to be a Kosovo walkover and awarded Romania a default 3-0 win, officially confirming maximum points and automatic promotion back up to League B. Perhaps the two most intriguing games were actually on matchday 1 and matchday 5, the group underdogs of Lithuania and Cyprus meeting in first Mariampole and then Larnaca. Two crucial wins to Cyprus that secured safety and left Lithuania pointless with automatic relegation down to League D for 2026. Special mention to Cagliari's Romanian midfielder Razvan Marin, who, with the exception of that 3-0 walkover, scored in every game this Nations League campaign. 11th, Group A4. Generally, a procession to the final result, but there was at least something still up in the air come matchday 6. It's a group Spain always looked the dominant side in, and they duly delivered on that promise with 16 out of 18 points. The only blemish was a frustrating 0-0 draw in Belgrade on matchday 1, a game where Serbian goalkeeper Predrag Rajkovic really stood out. While Spain shone as standard, the same can't be said for Switzerland. It's a nation with good recent tournament pedigree and a record of consistency in League A, whilst also finishing 4th in the first ever edition. 24-25 was very poor though, relegated without a win and confirmed to drop with a game to spare after Serbia snatched a point from them in Zurich. There'll be a League B side for 2026-27. That left the middle two, one of whom would take a place in the quarter-finals and the other a relegation playoff spot. Denmark made a strong start before the first meeting with Spain, while Serbia had to play catch-up. It eventually led to a direct shootout on matchday 6 in Leskovac, with Denmark just needing to avoid defeat to secure second. Serbian threat provided particularly in the first half, but no goal to show for it, and a late double yellow for Strahinja Pavlovic at the end. Denmark formed one of the Elite 8 in 2025. 10th, Group C1. Similar to Group C2, Group C1 felt like it would be two separate battles across the 4 teams. Sweden v Slovakia for automatic promotion, Estonia against Azerbaijan to avoid bottom spot. Whilst it always felt like Romania were going to claim first in their group though, the race to the top in Group C1 stayed a lot closer. Sweden and Slovakia both made perfect starts in September before their first crucial meeting on matchday 3 in October. An open clash in Bratislava which ended 2-2 and left the pair neck and neck at the top of the table for another month. It wasn't until matchday 5 when the immense front line of Viktor Gyökeres and Alexander Isak shone through for a 2-1 win that left Sweden uncatchable at the summit. That same day in November, one final chance the bottom side Azerbaijan to clinch guaranteed safety, having lost 3-1 to Estonia on matchday 3. They needed to win by at least 2 goals in Gabala, but didn't end up getting any. A 0-0 draw despite a late onslaught from the hosts confirmed Estonia safe in 3rd place. There was still a chance for Azerbaijan to avoid being automatically relegated down to League D, needing a win on matchday 6 in Solna, with everyone else in League C already finished with their games. Host Sweden showed no mercy though. A ruthless display with the big hitters all present, and a 6-0 demolition which sent the Caucasus side down into the 4th tier. 9th, Group A2. It was the group which stood out once the overall draw was made, a quartet containing 3 of Europe's big hitter names and a real outsider in Israel. It's no surprise to anyone that Israel were ultimately relegated from Group A2, but what may have been a surprise is how long it took for them to drop. Results kept the Israelis in the mathematical running right to the end, despite their low points and unhealthy goal difference. It culminated in a matchday 6 clash with Belgium, where they could still incredibly pull off a chance of survival if they somehow won their game in neutral Hungary by at least 4 goals. They did manage a 1-0 victory in the end, but that was nowhere near enough, and they drop into League B for 2026. The group format meant that one of the three big hitters would have to miss out on the quarter-finals, and that soon proved to be Belgium. A disappointing campaign for the Red Devils, whose only high points were a 3-1 opening night win over Israel and an eventful 2-2 comeback draw with Italy on matchday 3, defeats in all three of their final games. France and Italy booked quarter-final spots with time to spare and with one late twist. Italy set the tone with a victory in Paris on matchday 1, staying unbeaten through to the final game of the league phase. France went to San Siro with a chance of pipping them to top spot, but needing to win in Milan by 2 or more goals in order to do it. Adrien Rabiot starred in a necessary 3-1 victory, a result which gave France first ahead of Italy by the virtue of having a 1 better overall goal difference. 8th, Group B2. By the end of September, Group B2 had turned into 2 clear contests. England and Greece set the tone for a promotion battle, with Finland and the Republic of Ireland looking to better the other and avoid automatic relegation to League C. Matchday 3 provided the first major meetings, with Robbie Brady standing out in a comeback 2-1 win for Ireland in Helsinki. Most notably, though, came a major night of emotion and spirit at Wembley as Greece beat England for the first time ever. The group favourites England were on the back foot, requiring perfection from their final 3 now in order to go up, and wary that their main rivals looked as impressive in games with Ireland and Finland as they did. Much like matchday 3, matchday 5 proved crucial in deciding the outcome of this group. Ireland's spirited 1-0 victory in Dublin confirmed Finland's place in League C for 2026, whilst over in Athens, England would take back top spot with a clinical 3-0 win that put them out in front on overall goal difference. To matchday 6, with England up as long as they at least matched Greece's result in Helsinki. Goalless in both games at half-time, but whilst Greece went on to get past Finland 2-0, a Liam Scales red card marked the start of an England onslaught. 5-0 up by the end of the second half, with 4 players registering their first goal for the Three Lions. It wasn't the procession some may have initially expected, but England's return to League A in the end took just 1 campaign. 7th, Group C4. This was one of the least cared about groups in the Nations League initially. A shame given that it looked like it had potential to be a close-run contest right to the end. In a way, it was, but not for every side. North Macedonia were held 1-1 in the Faroe Islands on matchday 1 and then went out of sight, winning each of their final 5 to finish top on 16 points and complete one of the best performances across all of the Nations League. As the North Macedonians ran away with first place though, things stayed very close underneath, with all of Armenia, Latvia and the Faroe Islands in the run-in for a spot between 2nd and 4th. The early concern was with the Faroe Islands. The Nordic nation picked up 3 points at Torshvilla, but were going to need to find away points in the final month to avoid Thor's spot and a potential relegation down to League D. It came in unexpected circumstances. Left-back Viljormir Davidsson crucial from the spot again in a hard-fought 1-0 win away to Armenia, a result which took them above Latvia, who had collected 4 points against the Faroes from their 2 meetings. Matchday 6 would see Armenia claim a win in Riga, which benefited both them and the Faroe Islands, sealing 2nd to the former and another season in League C to the latter. Latvia are part of the League CD playoffs after a pointless November. 6th, Group B4. There were a few cases of final day twists in this year's Nations League, and here was one of the most unexpected ones. With 1 game left, things looked fairly standard. 2 unbeaten sides in Turkey and Wales close in the race to the top spot, with the former 2 points ahead after a pair of goalless draws in the head-to-head clashes, and Wales dropping points from a winning position against Iceland previously. Iceland sat 3rd, still with an outside shot of 2nd, whilst Montenegro were pointless and already relegated down to League C. Matchday 6 saw Wales host Iceland in Cardiff, with Turkey heading over to Montenegro. Wales' first priority was avoiding a defeat that would see Iceland leapfrog them into 2nd, seemingly the more likely outcome than Turkey dropping points and allowing the Dragons to nick top spot. The Welsh came from behind to record a dominant 4-1 victory at the Cardiff City Stadium, continuing an unbeaten start under new head coach Craig Bellamy. Over in Nikšić, however, on a bad quality pitch, Turkey blew the chance of automatic promotion after being powerless to a Nikola Kurtsevic hat-trick. The 3-1 and 4-1 scorelines would see Wales take first place by a single point, sealing a return to League A, with Turkey having to settle for 2nd and Iceland claiming 3rd. 5th, Group A1. Wales certainly weren't the only UK side who made Matchday 6 headlines. Group A1 was a group dominated by Portugal, unbeaten and dropping points on just 2 occasions, a frustrating 0-0 with Scotland on matchday 4 and a 1-1 draw in Croatia on matchday 6 at the top spot had already been confirmed. The big story was down below though. Heading into the November break, Scotland sat on the verge of automatic relegation down to League B with just a single point to their name. 2 make-or-break games began at home to second-place Croatia, with the late John McGinn goal being complemented by Portugal's 5-1 demolition of Poland in Porto. That left a matchday 6 shootout against Poland in Warsaw with quirky permutations where 4th place Scotland could still come second with a win and a Croatia defeat, whilst Poland could only at best get 3rd as they sat behind Croatia on head-to-head record. At half-time, the former was actually happening, Scotland ahead early in their game and Portugal winning in split. Croatia ultimately got a Josko Vardiol equaliser and secured second, but the drama stayed in Warsaw right till the end. Poland were back level just before the hour, but a 93rd minute header from Andy Robertson got Scotland the win needed to secure 3rd and avoid an automatic drop into the 2nd tier, with opponents Poland going down at their expense. 4th, Group C3. League C as a whole went under the radar with its lower down position in the European spotlight. Group C3 was arguably the one most deserving of attention. It's a group that began with a surprise package story in Belarus. The White Wings are forced to play home matches behind closed doors at neutral stadiums as a result of the country's involvement in the Russian invasion of Ukraine. 3 matches in Zala-Egezheg all ended in draws with Bulgaria, Northern Ireland and Luxembourg, with a 1-0 win over the latter on matchday 2, leaving them still unbeaten at the end of October. Belarus at that point sat in the middle of a tight pack. Northern Ireland ahead on 7 points and Bulgaria just behind on 5, with Luxembourg a little further back. Matchday 4 saw a pivotal result in Belfast, Northern Ireland avenging a previous 1-0 defeat in Plovdiv with a 5-0 demolition that left them well ahead of Bulgaria on head-to-head goal difference. That left a crucial November with 3 sides battling for that top promotion spot and a Luxembourg team who had 2 final home games in their pursuit of avoiding bottom place. Bulgaria and Northern Ireland both won on matchday 5 as Belarus were knocked down to 3rd, and a pair of draws on matchday 6 kept things as they started a few hours before. Northern Ireland up as group winners, a BC playoff for Bulgaria, another League C season for Belarus, and an eventual CD playoff for Luxembourg. Slight anxiety for the latter even after playing, as they needed Azerbaijan to avoid a win the following day in order to avoid automatic relegation down to League D. Sweden did them all the favours there. 3rd, Group B3. This was a table that looked at its best after matchday 4, a true 3-horse race. The one left out of the picture were League B newcomers Kazakhstan. The side from far out east started positively enough with a hard-fought goalless home draw with Norway, but the increased quality of their opposition ultimately told and they were relegated with time to spare, finishing bottom with just a single point and as one of only 2 sides who failed to score all campaign, that other being Group D2's Andorra. The real action and excitement was up above. Austria, Norway and Slovenia formed a trio of sides who delivered on the hopes of an unpredictable group. There were games where the elite attacking talents of Norway's Erling Haaland and Slovenia's Benjamin Sesko shone through, but Austria's collective talent produced top displays too, most notably on matchday 5 when they ran out 5-1 winners over Norway in Linz. Slovenia's 1-0 win in Almaty earlier in the day meant that November would come around with all 3 of Austria, Norway and Slovenia sitting on 7 points, ranked in that respective order by head-to-head points tallies alone. Matchday 5 would ultimately take Slovenia out of the running for top spot after a heavy home defeat to Norway and Austria's dominant victory in Kazakhstan. They would still play a major part though on the final matchday, a rematch with Austria and Vienna whilst Norway hosted Kazakhstan in Oslo. A pair of home wins would have seen Austria take top spot on head-to-head goal difference, but that wasn't what happened. Norway romped to a 5-0 victory whilst a late equaliser from Adam Nezdasherin forced a 1-1 draw to Slovenia, which saw Austria drop to second. It was a trio at the top that chopped and changed throughout 6 match days in September, October and November. 2nd, Group D1. To fully appreciate the value of the UEFA Nations League, you need to take yourself away from the elite level. This is about more than just removing friendlies from the calendar. It's intended to be a chance for Europe's smallest sides, ones that regularly go through qualifying campaigns without barely collecting any points, to face similar level opponents and get the winning thing that so rarely comes their way. There was no better example of this than Group D1 of 2024-25, a group that instantly stood out to the many football hipsters among us. A repeat of the 2020-21 campaign, the three international minnows of Gibraltar, Liechtenstein and San Marino. All three nations had just finished pointless in Euro 2024 qualifying, with Gibraltar not even scoring a goal. They had won this group 4 years ago and would have been favourites again in 2024, but they weren't the main focus of this group. That status instead belonged to San Marino, the enigma of international football. The tiny microstate within Italy have long sat bottom of the FIFA World Rankings, having only won one game in their entire history as a national team, and that was more than 20 years ago. Such is their reputation as the world's weakest international football team that they have developed a large cult following and could make headlines simply by getting a goal in a match. Drawn in a group with two fellow minnows, La Serenissima were hoped to have 4 good chances to finally end what was a 140-game winless streak. That moment came immediately. Straight out of the blocks in Serravalle, a second-half Nico Sensoli goal gave San Marino a 1-0 win over Liechtenstein, the team who had been on the end of their only previous victory back in 2004, a first win in over 2 decades for the microstate and a first ever in a competitive fixture. People had got what they wanted to see already, but as the games progressed, you started to wonder if San Marino could generally do more than just register a first tick in the win column. Gibraltar and Liechtenstein played out a manic 2-2 draw at Europa Point, which included goals in the 97th and 104th minutes of normal time, a result that left San Marino top of the group heading into October. Gibraltar Gibraltar saw the sides on the rock move to the summit, but they would draw again with Liechtenstein on matchday 4, spared a defeat by a last-minute penalty save from Bradley Banda. That meant November arrived, with Gibraltar in first on 5 points, San Marino in second on 3 points, and Liechtenstein third on 2 points. All three could still earn the automatic promotion spot, and it was San Marino who would feature in both of the 2 remaining games. Matchday 5 in Serravalle, a tale of 2 penalties. Gibraltar ahead early in the first half through Liam Walker, San Marino back level in second half stoppage time through Nicola Nani. All eyes on Vaduz in matchday 6, a point for San Marino guaranteeing second, a win for San Marino securing first. Monday, 18th November 2024, the most golden of second halves from the visitors. A complete turnaround from 1-0 down in front of 1,157 people, goals from Lorenzo Lazzari, Nicola Nani and Alessandro Golinucci, a 3-1 win with a brilliant controlled display. This is a nation who had never won a competitive game before September 2024. 2 months later, they would have 7 points from a possible 12 and will spend the 2026-27 campaign in a higher league than the likes of Azerbaijan and Lithuania. This is what the Nations League is truly all about. First, Group B1. For the pure story and headlines that it made, Group D1 really could top this list. In a ranking based on pure unpredictability and drama though, there could only be one winner. Even before it began, Group B1 looked hard to call. Albania, Czechia, Georgia and Ukraine, 4 sides who had all just played at the recent European Championships. Every single possible order felt plausible back when September started. The action and excitement took no time to begin. Georgia went straight out of the blocks in Tbilisi with a 4-1 demolition of Czechia, continuing the buoyant mood that had formed from their historic run to the round of 16 in Germany. Just a short while later, Albania came from behind to beat Ukraine at a neutral venue in Prague, beating their opponents for the first time ever. Clashes between the early top 2 and the early bottom 2 on matchday 2. Georgia continuing their perfect start with a hard-fought 1-0 win in Tirana, whilst Pavel Schulz starred for Czechia as they won an entertaining home game with Ukraine 3-2. How'd you get a twist from here? You get bottom to beat top. Precisely what happened when Mikhailo Mudrik's goal saw Ukraine past Georgia. A Tomasz Chori brace and a 2-0 win over Albania saw Czechia climb further up the table, but still sat second for now as they sat behind Georgia on head-to-head. 6-6-3-3 at the halfway stage. By the end of October, Albania were up to 6 points too, upsetting the Georgians with a 1-0 away win. Had Ukraine beaten Czechia later that night, all 4 would have sat on 6 points with 2 games left, but they could only claw back a 1-1 draw with Czechia in their final neutral home game. Into November, with the table reading 7-6-6-4, nothing at all yet decided. Matchday 5 barely gave us any answers, a pair of draws with Georgia rescuing a point at home to Ukraine, whilst Albania and Czechia cancelled each other out in Tirana. So, to matchday 6, Tuesday the 19th of November, a ton of permutations still available. Top side Czechia could finish anywhere between 1st and 3rd, bottom team Ukraine could finish anywhere between 2nd and 4th, for the middle pair of Georgia and Albania, separated by just overall goal difference, they could finish in any part of the table. Ukraine were the side who started in the greatest jeopardy, occupying the automatic relegation spot. Getting away from it would require an away win in Tirana, a result that they earned after a lightning start with 2 goals in the first 10 minutes. At the same time, Czechia hosted Georgia, a game which ended in a narrow 2-1 win itself, as the home side secured top spot and automatic promotion up to League A. The combined results would see Ukraine not only get off bottom, but go up to 2nd and earn the AB promotion playoff place. Georgia dropped to 3rd for a BC relegation playoff, whilst by the virtue of having an only 3 worse overall goal difference, Albania ended the campaign bottom and relegated down to League C. 4 points in total separating 1st and 4th, just 1 point separating 2nd and 4th. There was no tighter group in this season's UEFA Nations League than Group B1. That was the UEFA Nations League groups ranked. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the Matchday Man for more European football content as the season continues. The playoffs and finals are both just around the corner in 2025. I'll see you then.